In the midst of everything that's changing with the coronavirus, people are wondering, how is it that I can make sure that any increases in anxiety that I am experiencing are curbed, and I can make sure that I'm keeping my head screwed on straight during these changing times. So today I wanted to share with you 4 specific ways you can make sure that anxiety that you may be dealing with right now during the coronavirus is kept at a minimum and is handled more elegantly. So the first most important thing that you have to be able to do is control your focus. Okay, you'll hear me often say very frequently that what you focus on, you feel, which is true. Right now, everyone's focus is being diverted towards what they fear, what they believe may be the worst case scenario, what they believe the future may look like in its most negative terms possible. And they're focused on these big numbers that the news reports are putting out every single day. And what is happening is their focus is getting hijacked, and it is going to the most disempowering place imaginable. So I am a big fan of making sure that you are absolutely minimizing the amount of time you are spending on the news. For me personally, I spend no more than 3 minutes a day gathering the most up-to-date information that affects me directly, and then making sure that the remainder of my day is spent on things I can control, not focusing on things that you cannot. Anytime your focus is diverted towards things you cannot control, things that you fear, or things that feel overwhelming or confusing, that is a recipe for anxiety. So you have to control where your focus is going. Make sure the vast majority of it is going towards things you can control and things that you can make productive or empowering for you. So take control of your focus. Either install some news feed blockers, right? So that you're not just consistently seeing a bunch of negative things. Remove the pings that you might be getting on your smartphone about news alerts, right? Something like that, so that you can make sure the environment around you is supporting you and not hijacking your focus. Okay, that would be step number 1. Step number 2 is not only do you need to control where your focus is going, but you also need to control what you are making this situation mean. Okay, a lot of people are making this situation mean that we are in economic times as worse than the Great Depression. It's just not true when you actually look at the data. Okay, the amount of American workers that we know of right now who are losing work is substantial, and it's greater than that lost their jobs in the Great Depression. But the population of the American population in the times of the Great Depression was much different. Okay, and also there are safety nets and different things in place right now that were never in place for people 100 years ago. So you have to make sure that you're putting things in perspective and taking control of the meaning, right? This Great Depression is not exactly what we're going through right now. Even somebody who's unemployed now is a whole lot better off than somebody unemployed 100 years ago. So even if you're undergoing temporary financial hardship, it doesn't mean the rest of your life is doomed. So take control of the meaning, and don't allow your mind to run off and make the most, distorted and generalized version of what this situation is. A lot of people are also making this situation mean that they're gonna get sick and they're gonna get ill and that they're gonna die, okay? And that's just not true. I mean, if you look at the data, okay, the overwhelming data shows that even if you contract the virus, you're more than likely going to be just fine. Okay, so if you really look through the fear-inducing headlines down to the facts, you can control the meaning and control what you focus on. I'm not here to say, let's ignore the situation. I'm not here to say, stick your head in the sand. And I'm certainly not here to say, let's not, do what we can to minimize the situation. But I am saying, if you're not careful, your focus and your mind is going to create a distorted reality compared to what we're actually living in, okay? So take control of your focus, take control of the meaning. The third thing that you absolutely need to do is make sure that you are sticking to a concrete routine. So especially if you're temporarily out of work, or you're off work for the moment, or you're working from home, it's very easy to fall into the situation where you're sleeping in and your days become your nights and your nights become your days, and all of a sudden your rhythms get out of balance. The challenge with that is that very often when you don't have concrete things locked into your routine, that actually induces a further state of anxiety or depression. The reason is, number one, you can get your circadian rhythms mixed up, okay? So you can end up oversleeping or undersleeping or running into energy problems. The other thing is, if you don't have concrete things laid out in your day, your mind is going to wander. Your thoughts are going to have more chance to chase themselves, and you don't want to run into that. So make sure you stick to some concrete routines, a couple sincere rituals, right? Whether it be meditation or going out on a walk or doing something like that. Anything that gets you out of your head, out of the ecosystem of what you're hearing in the news, and gets you, to plug into what's real, gets you to plug back into the present moment. And then fourth and finally, make sure you are not self-isolating right now. One of the biggest causes of depression, one of the biggest accelerators of a series of depression and anxiety is you being inside your own head for far too long. So you need to socialize, you need to call those people. What I do personally is I make sure that on my calendar every week, I've got concrete time set aside to call somebody that means a lot to me and that I love, so that I know that whatever else is going on in my mind or else in my world or my priorities, it does not slip through the cracks. So make sure you are prioritizing your relationships, and make sure you're talking about things other than the virus, okay? Because otherwise your social interactions are going to become situations where it just exacerbates problems for you. So instead, start asking each other things like, hey, what are you grateful for right now? What are you excited about? What is fun that you could be doing in your days, right? Those types of things. So those 4 keys will definitely help you get through this period. Remember that anything that you're going through right now is temporary. It will pass. And absolutely, you should be prioritizing your mental health now more than ever. So I hope this serves you. Please, what do you think number 5 should be? Add in your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Take care.